Hi, I'm Barbara Hodson, and today, the 1st of September 2020, Tom Sharland is reminiscing about his rugby history with the Nelson Rugby Football Club, which, apart from one season away, spanned for well over 20 years. This is another interview put together as part of the club's 150th celebrations. Fingers crossed, will take place on the 25th and 26th of September this month. Tom, welcome. I've always known of you and your association with the Nelson Rugby Football Club and would see you out and about pounding the pavements in the past. But it was only when I happened to be social distancing next to your daughter Marie at New World during lockdown and got talking to her that I learned of the length of time you had actually played for the club. So until I actually called you to discuss recording your sporting history, I had never really conversed with you at all, which is unusual given that you played with my husband Roddy 5 of those 20 years. Can you ever really remember talking to me during those? No.
Not that I know, no.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, how you can be part of a club, but actually, you know, you're there, but you actually don't sort of have a one-to-one. So before we talk rugby, I always like to begin with the early history of the people that I've actually interviewed, who your parents were, where you were born and lived, and what siblings were in the Sharland mix. So let's start with your parents' names.
Well, one was Leslie George Sharland. I think he was born about 1900, yeah.
Okay.
And my mother was a Pike, a Nona Mary Pike.
Okay.
And she was a seamstress and worked for her father, who was a tailor. Yeah.
So did they come from Nelson? Were they Nelsonians?
Yep. They came here. His father and grandfather used to own Sharland's Creek because they had a flax mill up there.
Oh, okay.
So they had a big mill up there for making rope. Yeah.
Mm. So you're from that. From that Sharland's, yeah. Because there's tracks sort of right up to the top of
all part of where we used to be. And my father actually, when he got married, he lived up Sharland's Creek.
Yeah.
And my 2 oldest brothers were born up there, right up in Sharland's Creek where the Superjet Gully is, where they have the tracks up and down the hill.
Yeah.
And but I think during the Depression he walked off that place and got a job on the council. And he worked there for the rest of his life.
Oh, okay. So there was actually a house built.
Oh yeah, there's a house up there. 2 houses. There was the main flax house, the flax works, and his parents' house. And right up the gully a long way further, right up and where the tracks start going up the hill, he had a little wee house in there.
Oh, okay.
Which my mother burnt down eventually.
Oh, well.
And they moved up to the top of Cleveland Terrace.
Oh, okay. So how did it catch on fire? Did she?
Oh, she wasn't that flashy cook.
Oh, okay. So how many in your family?
5, 6. There's Ray, Jim, Charlie, Brian, myself, and my sister Rosina.
So you've got a sister. I wondered about whether there was any sisters. So where were you in the pecking order? What were you the last one or the?
No, I was the youngest boy.
You're the youngest boy.
The fifth one.
Okay. Can you remember at what age you actually started to play for the Nelson Rugby Football Club?
Yeah, not 19. What did I say? About 1951 or 50.
So how did you end up? What drew you to that club?
When I was at primary school, I got in the schoolboy reps, which is just taken from central school.
Yep.
And from the district, and we went and played in Greymouth or somewhere.
Yep.
And the following year I went to college, and I didn't want to play for college, so I played for our club.
Okay. Yeah. So are you the same age as Don Fowler? Because he...
Oh, probably a year or so older now.
Okay, because...
I was playing before him.
because I remember there was several of the boys that went to the college that actually played for the Nelson club, and were kind of chastised because they should have been playing for the college and not for the club. But
which the guy, our headmaster up there, was very anti that. He wasn't very pleased when he got us to come up to his study when we'd been putting a 4th grade reps, I forget now which one.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, what 15 do you play for, boy?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nelson Club.
Okay.
He was horrified.
Okay. Yeah. So when did you actually? What age were you when you actually started playing for the senior team then? Can you remember?
I was only 17 or 18.
So you pretty much, yeah.
So I had to go to the 18-year-old military camp.
Okay.
And I was playing for Nelson before I went to that.
Okay. And your three brothers, they all played rugby?
Ray, he didn't play rugby. He might have started. He might have had a couple of games.
Yeah.
But he was into gliders. He was a glider pilot eventually. And Jim, he played for Old Boys. And but he's one of these sort of guys that had to be running things, so he was probably in an administrative role. He was just about run the place.
Okay.
Because he also did the same with our indoor basketball.
Yep.
In fact, he was CEO of the Giants when they started.
Oh, was he?
Jim was, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. So he was, because he eventually moved to Blenheim, didn't he?
Yeah, and he had Sharland Garden Centre over there and here too, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was Charlie, he was a postman.
Okay, yeah.
He knows.
And he played. He
didn't really play rugby, he liked tinkering with old cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rightio.
And Brian, the next one down, he played for Celtic. Jim played for Old Boys, and of course I played for Nelson. Yeah.
I find that really unusual that you all played for different clubs. You weren't tempted to.
No, we weren't like that. We weren't follow the leaders.
No, okay. So when you started playing, what position did you start in? I mean, you ended up. I've only ever known you as a hooker. So were you always a hooker?
I never was a hooker. I started off in the schoolboys team on the wing. And when I played in all sorts of grades, I played on the wing.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I first played for the old McKinsey's team, and I was a wing.
Okay.
And I think one year I busted my ankle, and time I got better, I was an emergency in a game we were playing against Stoke or somebody, and I think Lick was the coach then, I think, Lick Gargiulia.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I can be there, I can be a spare, but I can't get too close to the action. So I think our hooker got hurt, and he said, right, you go on, you can be hooker. So I was hooker.
Okay.
From then on.
From then on. And you never went back to playing on the wing at all?
No, only when I went to Ashburton and played for Mid Canterbury.
Okay.
I played for Tech Old Boys in Mid Canterbury.
Yeah.
I played second 5'8".
Ah, right, yeah. So you're a utility player.
I was actually
kind of.
I was a jack of all trades and a master of none.
So making the transition from the wing to the hooker was relatively easy in the end. Yeah.
When I was a wing, I used to throw the ball in the line-outs.
Yeah.
And when I was a hooker, I used to throw the ball in the line-outs. So nothing changed there.
Just, yeah.
And you know what, the hookers, if you have a look at the hooker we've got now, he's almost like a little wing in there. He's out and about. He's out picking up all the plums.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the hooker's position and the little bit I noticed when watching Hoddy play last century. Ronnie Wall was the hooker, so he must have come in after you.
Me.
Yeah. And I remember the term tight head a lot, but these days you kind of hardly hear about it. So how different is hooking then as opposed to today?
Completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah. It's almost a non-event. They've almost made it like league. You put the ball behind the hooker's feet, And if the only way you can lose it is the whole scrum collapses, which it does too often because they don't scrum correctly.
Yeah.
They're too low. You can't push, so they just crash.
Yeah, I
It's
noticed
disgusting.
it. Yeah.
In my mind, though, that scrummaging is the worst part of the game, and they should almost revert to make it like league if they're going to carry on.
Yeah.
Because at league they just put it behind the hooker's feet and it's no big deal. They don't push, they just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have a lot of trouble with their scrums because they're always collapsing. And now they've got to the stage where they penalise one team for doing it, and it's not necessarily correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's by the by.
No, that's all right. You would have played under many coaches over the years, and like teachers, some impacted more than others. So for you, what coaches did you gain the most from, and in what way did that set them apart from other coaches?
Well, the coach we had in the reps was Mick Kinser, and he was very good, you know.
Yeah.
And then we had Ron Horsley, and then Jeff Stovey, and then Ant Gargiulio. And that sort of that.
Yeah.
All those guys were quite good, but I think I got the most knowledge from probably Bart.
Yeah.
And Litgarge. I'd say. They were quite good. Bart was pretty down to earth.
Yeah, he's we just sort of hear the same, you know, story time and again, how popular they were. And Mick Kinser, yeah, would have liked to have met him. I'm not sure when he passed away, but
No, I don't know when he died, but he was a very honest bloke. And he didn't suffer fools very gladly.
So what was your training regime like in those days, Tom? Did you do a lot of, like you're very fit, I know you eventually got into running, but during your rugby days?
Well, we used to train at Trafalgar Park.
Yeah.
And we used to do 2 nights a week at the park, and most of the time I was involved with the reps, and that would be another 2 nights. And then I played indoor basketball at the same time, so nearly we trained every Monday to Friday, basically. Yeah.
Very, very fit.
Well, I wouldn't say very fit, very cunning.
So we're going to look at some photos now. So this is a club photo taken in 1952, the Nelson Club 4th grade team, and Tom, you can point out some players. I mean, I can see my brother-in-law Des.
Don Fowler.
Yeah.
Winnie Norfolk, Ted Anderson, Don Spence, Brian Kenton, John Hunter, Doug Jones,
yeah.
Ernie Hargraves, John Gallagher, Ross Winter, this is a boy Green State, I think that one.
Yeah.
Headley Dunn, Roger Boyce,
Yes, yeah.
Hoddy, Don Faulkner, Brian Faulkner.
He's Buzz Faulkner.
Buzz Faulkner.
Yeah.
And Tom Sharland. That's the guy Blinko. He's their manager, and that's Ron Holloway, the coach.
Okay.
I think Holloway. Yeah.
So you were the winners of the 4th grade championship.
Yep.
14 games and 14 wins. It's a pretty impressive record you've got there. Yeah.
They were a good side. They were a good team. Yeah.
This guy here,
Buzz Faulkner.
Buzz, I'll see him tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
See him occasionally.
Yeah.
Give him a bit of a short back and sides.
Oh, yeah.
So how old would you have been here? You were sort of trying to work that out.
Well, it's 1952 and I was born in 1936. Yeah, I'll work that out.
Do the maths, anyway. To who's ever listening to this, they can do the maths.
46, 56.
So this photo here is the 1953 winners of the Nelson Rugby Union 3rd grade championship. Played 12 and won 10, lost 2. So Tom, you can just point out.
Bill Reid,
yeah.
Tom Sharland, Don Spence, Lionel Hippolyte, I forgot him, Mick Heath, John Heath, Eric Patterson, Ollie Weechin, Buzz Faulkner, Ted Anderson, Don Pawson, Des Hodgson, Don Fowler, Harold Sangster, John Hunter, Hedley Dunn, and Colin Dennis.
So this John Hunter, is he the Daffodil Man?
Yes.
He married one of the Tillin girls.
That's his daffodils.
Oh, okay,
Because
right.
he had prizes for daffodils
He
all
did,
over the world.
yes.
He would. And he used to always give me lots of bulbs. We got heaps of bulbs
Ah,
of
okay.
his down here, fancy
Rightio,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
So this one here is the Nelson Rugby Football Club Senior 15, winners of the championship in 1957. Played 14 and 110. So you will see some of the old players. Some of them are still, one or two are still alive. But anyway, Tom, just go through.
Oh. That's Jim Black,
Okay.
Paul Clements,
T. French.
Terry French, Rex Curnow,
Yeah.
the bloke Carr, Keith Hendel, Bill Black, Gus Meechan, Harold Sangster, that's the boy Kinslett,
Yeah.
Bill Marshall, I can't think who's that one, that's Bill Marshall.
That's Bill Marshall. Hang on, I'll get my pen.
Bill
That's
Marshall.
Bill Marshall there. That's
one.
Jimmy Black there. Oh no, that's Bill Black.
That's Bill.
Yeah.
That's Bill Black.
Oh, is that Bill Black there? Okay, so who's that guy there then? Hang on.
Well, we go to boy Kinslett.
We'll go. Oh, there's Maury Pugh. So he's next to Maury Pugh.
Yeah.
Jones.
Jones. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then
Johnny
York.
Auckland.
I remember him. He
Yeah.
was a teacher at Auckland Point School.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And Don Spence.
Okay.
I think you put him in that row, and that's
Johnny Lay. Now I remember him.
Johnny Lay, Don Fowler, Tom Sharland,
Billy
Tilly Damon,
Damon.
Noel Barton, Terry Phillips, little boy,
Quirk.
no,
Is
that's
that
not
Quirk? No, it's not. So where
Next
are
to
we?
Terry Phillips.
It's back to front, isn't it? So there's Terry Phillips. So let's go to Terry Phillips. P. Little.
That's Terry Phillips,
Yeah.
Peter Little, yep.
Okay.
That's him,
and that's Doug Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's Lick here.
Lex there,
Yeah. And Leon's here.
Leon's there, yep.
Hmm.
He was my first senior coach.
So that's Harold Swass, I think.
Harold Swass,
Yeah.
Gus Meechan,
So that's, yeah, okay.
and that's the boy Kinslett,
Oh, okay. So is
Oh,
that
Rick
mixed
Kinsett's son.
son, is it?
yeah.
Hmm.
Brian Kinslett, yeah.
Tom, you mentioned before that you when you had your seat had 1 year away out of from
Nelson Club,
Nelson.
yeah.
So what was the reason for when you moved away? Were you married at that point, or?
Yes.
Oh, you were married. Okay, so you moved to Ashburton, I think you said, wasn't it?
Yeah, we moved to Ashburton.
And you played for.
Tech Old Boys.
Okay, and you played rugby as well for that.
No, I got in the trial teams down there, but I never made the mid-Canterbury team.
Okay. Yeah. So you didn't want to stay down there?
No.
You wanted to come back to Nelson?
Come back to Nelson. A guy, a friend of mine, got me a job working where I worked in Ashburton, and I didn't like the place all that much.
It's quite a pretty little town. Well, it
Oh,
is
yeah,
now,
yeah,
but back in,
yeah.
I mean, New Zealand have really tidied up.
Yeah.
A lot of those smaller places have really tidied themselves up, and they're just a big
Yeah.
pleasure to go to. So you came back, and you, when you came back to Nelson, when did you? I know you got into rugby. What year did that happen? Can you remember what year you made the reps?
Oh, about 57,
Okay.
56, 57. Yeah.
So-
I never played many games for our rep team. I must have spent more games on the sideline than I spent playing.
Okay.
Yeah. But one year we went on tour, and senior team toured down south, and we played West Coast, and we played Otago, and who's in Invercargill? Southland. We played Otago, we played North Canterbury, South Canterbury and Mid Canterbury. I won tour. The Nelson reps went on tour.
Okay. Were you the hooker then, or were you still on the wing? Can you remember?
I was hooker.
Okay. Who was the coach that year?
That year, Jeff Stobie. I think it was Jeff Stobie. It was quite funny because I'd only left Mid Canterbury the year before, and when we got off the bus in Mid Canterbury, they bypassed their manager and said, "Oh, g'day Tom, how are you?" Because I'd just played for them the year before,
Okay.
and they couldn't get over the fact that I was playing in the forwards as a hooker when I'd played 7/8 for them.
Okay.
So funny things happen, you know.
So getting back to, we'll have a look at some of your rep photos in a minute, but just getting back to when you were playing for the Nelson Club, you mentioned to me that you did a bit of coaching, helped out, assisted coaching when you were still playing yourself, or did you help out with did you coach after you finished? Or
It's after I finished.
After you finished.
And I took our juniors for a season. I coached our juniors. And that's the only year I coached full time. And the next couple of years I think I did pre-season training for 2 or 3 of our coaches.
Okay.
Even for rivals I did. Yeah.
Did you?
Because my son-in-law was coaching rivals at that time, so I did his pre-season training too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You retired at what age?
That's the burning question, really. When was the second trip to Australia we went on?
The second trip. I know the first trip was 71, and I think the second trip was, I reckon, about 70. It was after Hoddy retired, so I reckon we were trying to work it out when I was interviewing Maury Nelson, because he went on that second trip. Did you do that second trip, did you? Did you play?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so that was back, we worked out that it was probably about 78, 79.
Yeah, well, that was the last year I played, but the next year I come back and filled in for Bart every now and then.
Oh, okay. Right.
So I played that year too.
Because these days they have a senior thirds grade, or a senior thirds team, which you would have been right in your element if that had been around, because that was more of a, I mean, it's still a competition grade, but it's very social.
No, I didn't like that.
Oh,
I wasn't a social player.
Oh, you wasn't? Okay.
There's a mean streak in me somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we'll have a look at your rep photos. Okay, so this is a rep photo. We're not quite sure the year of it because there's nothing to indicate what year it is, but we feel that it's probably, these guys would be late teens, but it's definitely a rep photo. Yeah. We've got Roddy Simon here. Yeah. My brother-in-law's Des. So
Tom
you carry
Spence, on. Headley Dunn. I don't know his name. He's a Boy Hart, I think, that one. And Ted. That's a Pope. That's a Clifford. Tom Sharland, Boy Holland. Don Fowler. You know him. He's Faulkner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Doug Jones. Yeah. And can't think of his name either.
That's a very young-looking Doug Jones, and that's a very young-looking Ted Henderson.
Yeah, so this one's probably before that one.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That might.
And you look very young there. I would say about 16 or 17 there, and Roddy just looks so young.
So I don't know whether that's third grade. What was? We don't know, do we?
We'll look at this other one in a minute.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one we do know is 1955. It's on the back. So you can go through who you remember, Tom.
Paul Blumsky, the boy Hart, the boy Everett. I'm a bit lost here. Gridley. No, not sure. Ted, Tom Newman. I'll get him. I can't think of his name either. Tom, Don, Paul, the boy Greaves, Des.
Yeah.
Not sure. Rodley. Like Rodley, I think.
Okay.
So some of these guys
Well, Tom Newman, his son Campbell is great mates with one of my brothers, so it's interesting to see that photo of him in this rugby photo. I just didn't realise that he actually played rugby. So who's this guy here? Look like Kinzip to begin with, but
No,
it's
it's
not.
not. No, I can't think of his name.
What about this guy here?
He's Barber. That's Ray Cameron.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he...
Okay, so this one is the rep team in 1957. I see, look,
Lick.
so he's
And Mick.
Monsieur. He's the Monsieur,
Yep.
not a player, Monsieur. Rightio. And there's Mick Kinzip. Yep, carry on.
Jim Lincoln. Peter Egan. Don Exton. Cliff Saxon. Alvin Bond. Keith Hendel and Matt Soul. Terry Phillips. Jim Black. Black Pope. I can't think of his name. Johnny Robinson, Maury Pugh, Tom Sharland, Tom Newman again,
Yeah.
Billy Bowers,
Okay.
Bill Coman,
Yep.
Des Hughes, Dilly
Dame.
Damon, Peter Marshall, and Stuart Scott.
Look how young Peter Marshall is. So who's this guy here? Guy Scott, did you say? Front S. Scott. Was that Stewie?
Stewie Scott.
The one that's just passed away recently.
Scott, there you are, front.
Yeah,
Stewie Scott.
Stuart Scott. Oh my goodness,
Billy
he does.
Bowers. Yeah.
Looks so young there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that Lick is down as a masseur.
Yep.
So like a physio.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk about what other sport you took up following rugby, or for that matter, what other sports you were involved in while you were playing rugby in your earlier years. So you've touched on basketball. You mentioned the team Scouts. Was there a club called the Scouts? Was there?
Yeah, well, they were probably almost the strongest club basketball team in New Zealand. At that
So I've
stage.
never ever heard of the Scouts yet. Carry on.
Well, because that was Frank Baldwin,
Yeah.
Robbie Dice, Sally Royal, Peter Edwards, who's one of the Edwardses. Who else? Not me. We were the young fellas in that team. Don Spence and I were called into that team. Ian Leggett, he was another one. Yeah, they're a very strong team.
So what happened to the club?
Oh,
Just
I
fizzled
don't
out?
know.
or-
We got taken out of that and put into athletic team,
okay.
that team.
Yeah.
And they played on for a couple of seasons, but I think they gave up eventually because Ian was a cricket player and Frank was something. He played rugby for the Seven Shield teams. And they were quite a pretty skillful team. You know, very good team, very strong.
So after rugby, you got into.
Oh, I played basketball all the time I was playing rugby.
Did you? So you kept playing. I never knew that because Hoddy he used to. He kept playing social.
Yeah.
But obviously he played social, and you would have been in.
And then we
that
put
series.
another team, didn't we? The KOs. I started another team when I was sort of nearly finished with rugby,
Yeah.
and it was, I forget who was even in that team, but it was just a sort of more of your type of team, more of a social team.
Yeah, okay. So did you play summer league? Because the old
No,
summer league, because
no,
we were right into that.
No, because I played tennis and stuff like that,
Oh, okay.
and athletics and Harriers and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
So you really got into Harriers after you finished.
Oh yeah. I basically, all our cross country teams, like when we went to Akaroa and to Picton, I was a selector for that in the Mott Nelson relays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when did you finish? When did you do a Forrest Gump and keep running and running? Or did you?
When did I finish athletics? When did I don't know.
Now,
I think I got a knee replaced, and I think that was the end of that.
oh, okay. as it happens. Now you mentioned you did the coast to coast.
Yep.
So was that just did you do an individual one, or were you part of a team? No, you'd have to be an individual.
Individual.
Yeah. Okay. So what age were you when you did that?
55 or 60, 50. How old was I, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty old.
How many times did you do it? Just the
I did it once. I don't. You mightn't remember Stella Sweeney. She was a girl runner, one of our runners, and I was her backup crew for 1 year. So I get the lay of the land, and the next year I went in it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's just sort of, you know,
Break
just,
myself in gently.
yeah.
So I did that, yeah.
So how satisfying was that?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah,
So it's all about just doing it really rather than, or did you set out to try and win it?
No, I never set out to try and win it. I
Just
set out to try
achieve
and
it.
achieve it.
Mm.
I think I beat Mike Ward.
So was it the hardest challenge that you ever...
No, I did. We've had biking ones too. I did the Karapoti Challenge. That's the one they have around in Wellington, over in the hills.
Oh, okay.
That's quite a well-renowned race, you
Yeah.
know. And I run 2-3 marathons, you know, like I run the Fletcher Marathon up north, and Christchurch Marathon, and West Coast Marathon. So I did a few of them. I'm never very good at it, but I used to do them.
Just our oldest son Glenn, I think when he turned 40, he wanted to do his 40th half marathon. By the time he turned 40,
Yeah.
I thought he was, I just say to him, look after your joints.
I used to do those. I must have done 30 or 40 of those.
I've done one,
Yeah.
the Buller.
Yeah, I've done that one.
Yeah. It's a good marathon to do. Right, behind most busy men is the much valued support of a partner, wife and family, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to include and acknowledge your wife's role, who's sitting in the background quietly, and sporting achievements, which has also been a big part of your family life. So you married Margaret Nee Banks, remember that? What year? Come on, what year did you marry it? Don't.
It's just before the turn of the century, I think.
Why is it? Margaret, what year did he marry you?
57.
And when? 57. And you've got 2 children, Marie and Doug.
Yep.
I know Margaret quietly indicated to me that she wishes to remain silent on her achievements, but I've learnt that she's done a bit of running. And
She's run around Rara Time, and
yeah.
done the odd half marathon. Did you do the Buller? He's done the Buller half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go on to say that I just read recently, I was visiting Eileen Phillips, Terry Phillips's widow. She had a copy of the 1975 Nelson Sportsman of the Year program, which belongs to her son Bill, who that year had won a merit award for representing New Zealand as a junior volleyball player. But I also noticed that that Marie and Doug received merit awards for their sporting achievements. So I'd love to have it on record from you what sporting code their awards were for. So what was Doug's for?
Well, he was in a Tanner and Tauranga Cup. I got his second in the Tanner Cup.
So
that's
what
yachting? That's,
for the yachting?
that's
Okay,
that,
yeah.
P-class yacht. He was in that. He played rugby here, and he played for Canterbury, and he played for Wellington.
Okay.
And he went to, he was in New Zealand University's tour of Japan
Okay.
as a rugby player,
What position did he play?
halfback, yeah, and he's very good.
Mm.
And he was, and the last thing he did, he turned into a coach, and he coached Wellington University. What's the name of the varsity there? Wellington University's team,
Okay, yeah.
senior.
Mm.
Him and Jock Hobbs. He
Okay.
partnered with Jock Hobbs, and they coached them together.
Right. Okay.
Because he was in business with Jock,
Okay.
with Mizuno Sport and Ping golf clubs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
so that was what he did.
Yeah.
And Marie was a marcher.
Yep.
Mostly. She played basketball, and
Mm.
yeah, basically at club level.
Yeah.
But in marching, she was pretty well up there.
Mm. So it would have been this would have been a busy household with the comings and goings of all different
Oh,
sporting.
pretty
but
busy
not-
one at
yeah.
Margaret. Yeah.
Okay, so if you were a young lad today, out of all the sports you know and have participated in, which one would you try to make a career out of? If you had a choice.
Well, if I had a choice, I think if it was going to be a career, I'd play golf.
Would you? Okay.
Well, there's good money, and you know, it's a good walk.
So do you play golf?
I did, but I've had my wrists. They've been seized up. You know, they've
Yeah.
been glued together so they don't bend.
Fused.
Oh, fused, that's
yeah.
the word, fused. So I can't play golf now. I wasn't much good at it anyway, but you know, but, I think at basketball, well, I'm a foot too short.
You almost need to be, well, you need to be 6-7 footers now.
And rugby's almost got to the stage where they've got like league. Where they're all about the same size and all big and fast and heavy and strong and not very bright.
That's just a sweeping generalisation.
Oh yeah,
There's some,
of course.
yeah. I think I agree with you. I think the discipline is a questionable at times. I'm guessing you're now in your early 80s.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to tell me. So, what's your fitness regime today? What do you do to keep fit today?
Oh, I don't do anything, do I, mate?
You just do a few laps of your driveway.
Well, Monday I've got an electric mountain bike,
Okay, yeah.
and I bike from here out to the Wonga Bar, up the top, down Central Road and come out at Sharland Bridge and come home.
Yeah, that's
50k.
Yeah. They're
Assisted.
Yeah,
But-
I realise that. Yeah.
So I do a lot of biking, but I don't walk a hell of a lot because I've got 2 knees that have been done. One's been done twice and one's been done once.
Wow. Okay. Any hips?
No, that's okay.
Your hips are right. Okay.
Just my knees. And yeah. So yeah. So I bike. I did a bit of in the road bike club for a few years. You know, road biking.
You're amazing, really. I mean, I'm kind of.
And I followed. I used to do all the mountain bike circuits a few years ago. You know, like I did a South Island series where you end up going down to the lakes and over to the coast, and
Okay.
I've done that. I don't do any of that now. I'm pretty useless now.
All right, so we're gonna have a look at one more photo and one other piece of memorabilia that Tom's has acquired. We'll have a look at that. And so this is just nothing to do with rugby, but just part of Tom's sporting history. The athletic indoor basketball team, winners of the Nelson Indoor Basketball B Grade Championships, which they haven't got a date. They haven't got a year, for goodness sake.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I wonder why they... Yeah. Anyway, so perhaps you'd just like to point out who's in the team.
John Hunter, the Daffodil Man.
Okay, yeah.
Rex Groovy.
Yeah.
Don Pawson. Graham Talbot. Jim Sharland and Ross Martin.
And you down
Oh,
here. Yeah, you down
That's
here.
me down there, and that's Don Spence over there.
Right. So G Spence. So what do you call him? Don Spence.
Yeah,
It's got G. Must be.
yeah, well, it's wrong.
second
G's wrong.
Okay. So this is Graham Talbot. I mean, he passed away not that long ago, actually.
Graham Talbot.
Yeah.
He wasn't a bad runner, actually. Good runner.
He did a lot of Harriers because I used to see him pounding the pavements
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Jim used to manage him in his running when he was a young fella,
Okay.
you know.
So did he win any national titles or anything like that?
I think he would probably have been the junior half-mile champion. And Jim was an also ran. He didn't. None of us ran, really.
Just
Not
on the
really.
court.
Well, no, we ran. Like, I used to run in the Harriers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've been to the Maha Cup and things like that, you know, all those. But I wasn't particularly flash.
Okay, so this is a jersey that Tom acquired for the 125th celebrations. And what's the number on it?
2.
Number 2, which is...
Wing 3/4 throws the ball in.
Oh, okay, right. So I'm just trying to talk him into maybe framing it, and rather than just storing it in a plastic bag. But yeah, a treasured jersey, that's for sure. Nelson, New Zealand's oldest Nelson Rugby Club. Of course, there's the number 2 in it there. Now, this amazing book that Tom has invested in, which is stored in a bank vault, I'd like to add, he's going to tell us about it, because it's huge, Men in Black. Right, Tom? The floor is yours. Tell us about it.
Oh, well, it's something that you had to apply for, and there's only so many printed. And it just so happened I bought one when it first came out. I put in for it, and that's what we got back. I can't remember what it cost, but it would have cost a little bit. But it's very good. These are the names of all the people who have them.
So all the people that have actually bought one of these boxes actually named at the beginning. Yeah. So there was it's a limited. There was 1,200. Hang on a minute. Yeah, there's 1,200. So it was back in 1978, was it? That what I saw there. Hang on a minute. We'll go back here. Sorry, Brian. I'm being a bit. I'm going all over the place here. So 1978.
The plates for this book were destroyed after.
Ah, okay.
So that's the end of it.
So this is a huge piece of memorabilia, and from what I can gather, Tom is the only one from Nelson that's actually got one, and his name is, he's 674, number 674, Tom Sharland Nelson.
Can't find him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've noticed that Grant Betty's got a copy. I think Grant Betty might have passed away. Oh, I'm not sure. But George Nepier's got a copy. And probably there'll be a few well-known rugby players or enthusiasts that have actually got a copy of this. But it's amazing. It's huge. I have a feeling we might have the miniature version. Yeah, a smaller version. I think Dad had one, and when Mum passed away, we divvied up all the books, and I think I may have that, or maybe Hoddy had a copy. I don't know, but yeah. So it kind of is the history of the rugby. So is there a chapter in here on the Nelson Rugby Football Club at all?
Never looked.
Let's have a look. So that's the acknowledgements. Oh. We might have to stop filming, Brian, while I have a look to see if there is one there of the Nelson.
Right.
Okay, so there's nothing in here, of course, about the Nelson Rugby Football Club. It's all about the All Blacks, of course. So we'll just finish off looking at, this is Lancaster Park, Christchurch, 10th of June 1950. New Zealand 8 played the British Isles. So it's called Jade Stadium. In fact, I think Jade Stadium's gone now, hasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, Tom, I just want to thank you most sincerely for agreeing to be interviewed, and Margaret in the background supporting you. I mean, she's been a big part, I think, of your whole, and running your own business, and just huge, just listening to you. And even though I didn't have to twist your arm for it to happen, you quietly said that if there was someone better or more interesting than yourself, then go for them instead. But I realised doing this, everyone has an interesting history to impart and reminisce about, and at the very least, this recording provides a record for your family, future generations. So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.